Hey y'all. As parents, it's our job to take our precious little people and equip them to one day be functional adults who go out and make their way in the world on their own. And there's a lot of lessons that come along the way to get there. And one of those lessons at some point is teaching our children how to be home alone safely. Now, to be clear before we get started, before you take the step of leaving your child home alone, there is no magic age that is right for all children. I know some 8-year-olds that can be home alone just fine. I have some friends who have 15-year-olds that are not ready to take that step yet. That's okay. You know your child, you know what feels right, and you take that step whenever you're ready. In addition, there are different state laws across our nation governing what that age can be, so you'll want to be cognizant of that before you take this first step. But once you're at a point where you're ready to go ahead and start teaching your children how to be home alone for very short amounts of time so they can learn this skill, I have a couple tips and tricks that have been very successful with my older children who have been at this point, and I want to share them with you today in hopes that they might be helpful for you too when the time comes that you want to start leaving your children home alone for small amounts of time so they can start to learn this life skill. Now, my first rule that I'm the biggest stickler about is no eating, no cooking. And the reason for this is I don't ever want my children to be in a position where they are choking while they are home alone. I can't imagine how terrifying that would be. In addition, I don't want my children cooking or preparing something to eat so that they can eat it when we get back. This could be the one time they decide to shove something funky in the toaster. They decide they want to learn how to use the stove and they think it doesn't work, but in reality the gas is on. I don't want them trying to use a knife. We just wait till we get back. We feed them before we go, and we're never gone for long enough to where realistically our children are going to need to eat before we get back. The next rule is a fun one that they love. Be sedentary. So normally I don't let my children sit there for an hour vegging out on TV, but this is the time that I say go for it. Watch TV for 30 minutes to an hour, or preferably read a book. But the reason we do this is I would rather them be sitting there reading or watching TV than using this time to do something like crafting. I don't want my kids busting out scissors and a needle and a hot glue gun while I'm gone. Similarly, my son's very athletic and he's a great contortionist and gymnast, but this is not the time that I want him practicing a new double backflip. Sit there, watch TV. They don't get to do it that often, so this is a really big reward for them, and so they're very happy to oblige. The next rule is we keep the dogs inside while we're gone. We do have 3 very large guard dogs, and they are to stay in the house and do their job while we're gone. The next rule is all doors are locked and all windows are closed. Now, if it's a beautiful day outside, we might leave the windows cracked with a safety lock on to where they can only move up about this much. But for the most part, windows closed, doors locked, and that's how we'll keep it. The next rule, call anytime. We do make sure that there's a phone available for them while they are home, and they call anytime if anything doesn't feel right, even if they're scared. We never go far enough away from the house while we're teaching the skill of being home alone that we can't get home in just a few minutes. It's never going to take us 15-20 minutes to get back to the house while we're learning this skill. So give us a call and we can either talk through whatever it is or we can turn around and come home as soon as possible. The next rule is never let anyone know that you're home alone. And this also plays into another rule, which is don't answer the door for anybody when you are home alone. And so that goes for neighbors that have been over at the house 1,000 times. That goes for your best friend. That goes for family. If your grandparents are knocking on the door, a delivery guy, never ever let them know. Just don't come to the door. But on the off chance that somebody does come to the door and they see you and they try to engage in conversation, you're like, knock, 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 hey, I'm the delivery guy, I need you to open the door, or, you know, hey, it's your neighbor, let me in. Quick one-liner that'll solve that. My dad does not allow me to open the door when he's in the shower and then walk off. I teach my children they don't owe anyone anything when it comes to engaging in a conversation like that. They don't owe a back and forth. With that quick one-liner, they've let whomever know my parent is home and we are done talking. And that's that. Now say a police officer comes to the door. It's okay to call 911 on the police. So I tell my children, first, look for a police car outside. Second, if you still feel like something's not right, you can call 911 on the police. Call 911 and the dispatch officer should be able to confirm that there is a police officer in fact at your front door. Simple as can be. And then the next thing is a safe word. So say on the off chance we've left the house for just a 15-minute stroll around the neighborhood. This is how we're using our time to test out leaving our child being home alone. And I get hit by a car or something like that, and an ambulance has to come get me, and someone has to come to the door to take care of the children. My kids, my husband, and myself have a safe word that no one else knows. Again, no friends, no grandparents, nothing. We only give this word out in case it's truly an emergency and truly someone has to come, let the kids come into the house, talk to the kids, get the kids, take care of the kids, something like that. It's very important and very serious that this word is not shared. But that safe word is very helpful as well. And then in addition to a safe word, have a safe place or two. And what this is a neighbor in very close proximity, ideally someone on either side of you, perhaps right across the street. And this is a safe place where the children can run and go in case they need to exit the house. For example, something's on fire, someone's hurt, something like that. You run to the designated safe place and only to the designated safe place. And it might be a good idea to have 1 or 2 designated safe places. We actually have 3. So you go to this neighbor first. If they don't answer, you go to this neighbor second, and then you go to this neighbor third. And they are planned out to where it's a route. They're not ping-ponging over the neighborhood. And they are, again, very close in proximity. It's not appropriate while you're teaching these very new skills to children who are just now learning how to stay safely home alone. It's not appropriate to send them 4 blocks over to a very, very good friend. They need somewhere they can go to quick. And you also want to make sure too that the safe places are aware that they're safe places. You don't want to send them to the next door neighbor who never gets up and answers the door because they hate salespeople, right? You want to make sure the neighbor knows, hey, can we use you? Have that conversation. Can we use you as our safe place? Awesome. Here's the things that our children might come to the door for. Now, you don't have to tell the neighbor that you're leaving the kids home alone. You just have to make sure that you have a couple people who know that in the event your kids come banging on the door, they need to answer. So I know there's plenty more rules out there to help keep kids safe in the home, but these are the ones we use when we first start taking those 15, 20-minute trips away from the house when our kids get old enough to where it's appropriate for them to start learning the skills of being home alone. So again, it's completely up to you when the time is right and when you want to go ahead and start making those next steps. Like I said, your child could be 8, your child could be 15, 16. It is absolutely an individual choice, but I hope these rules are helpful and I hope it kind of equips you with some ideas and some things to talk about with your child before you take this step. Similarly, if you have any tips or tricks, I would love to learn from you as well, so please do drop them in the chat. And again, thank you so much for your time. I hope this was helpful and y'all have a great day.